Welcome back to Fleet Equipment. I am Kevin Linger, and like a lot of you, I'm tired. 2025 was a big year, a tumultuous year for our industry. So are those trends continuing into 2026, or are we leaving them in the past? And how can your fleet prepare? Today, we're talking to an expert from Merchants Fleet to find out. Stick around. We want to welcome in Jeff Nieman, the Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Merchants Fleet. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here to break down some lessons that are either coming with us from 2025 or leaving behind, or what new things we can look forward to as 2026 kicks off. So let's start with fleet management trends. Anything we need to leave in the past, or should we bring into the new year?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that I think we'll see persist through 2026. One being a continuous theme of right-sizing fleets. I think, gone will be the days of thinking about massively expanding, and people will start to focus in more narrowly on utilizing data to really look at utilization numbers. There's a need to drive costs down and to drive your total cost of ownership down across the fleets throughout the U.S. And there's no better way to do that than to drive utilization. I've said this before on other interviews, but the cheapest car is no car. And if you can get rid of assets in your fleet and drive better utilization, it is the best way to drive your total cost of ownership. Cars, trucks, whatever the asset is that are sitting around idle are such a suck in cost. You're not only paying depreciation and interest on the asset, but the assets are just at risk when they're sitting idle. Nothing good happens to a vehicle that's parked in a lot somewhere. All kinds of things go wrong. And I think that's gonna be a big driver, as you go through 2026. In conjunction with that, I think you'll start to see companies, focus on the right types of technologies to be able to effectuate change, to drive utilization. It's not going to be won by papers, it's going to be won by data, and it's going to be won by platforms that enable companies to be able to more effectively allocate vehicles and share vehicles, amongst their drivers. And, I do think that we'll see connected vehicles and the use of data, continue to become table stakes, for fleets as you move through 2020, the close of 2025 and into 2026. I think you'll also continue to see outsourcing, be at the forefront for fleets. There's still a lot of self-managed fleets out there, and typically they're using services that are outsourced today, whether that's for telemetry or for fuel. But I think you'll continue to see that grow, particularly in industries where there's a lot of aggregation happening. There's a lot of consolidation, that's happening across multiple trades industries out there. And I think as those, small companies start to become part of larger companies, the larger the company, the more procurement power you have. And, looking at things that you're doing in-house today, that's a OpEx on your books, and then looking at the ability to really, partner with a fleet management firm, or, to stand up a center of excellence that's outsourcing the majority of the work. I think we're going to continue to see that trend. We saw that in 2025, and that will continue as industries continue to consolidate through aggregation. Last, I think AI, is it wouldn't be an interesting conversation if AI didn't get brought up at some point. I think it will continue to mature. It has only just begun. it's starting to become something that in every conversation that we have with clients or with partners, there's a component of the conversation that is AI driven. How are you thinking about it? How are you using it? And I think what's starting off as like small use cases for people to really get familiar with it, and maybe starting to dabble with things that are, more chat driven, that you're getting comfortable using tools that are just in our everyday lives, like Copilot, which is part of Microsoft Suite, and Chat GPT, or any of the new models that are getting put out there that just help people answer questions really, really deeply and quickly. I think it's going to start to mature, and I think people will start to understand the power of automation through AI, and we'll start to understand the power of a strong data foundation being a requirement to actually use AI in a way that matters to your business. I think we're going to continue to see that mature, and people will start to take steps to getting their data right, so that they can use AI in a way that's advantageous.
To say that 2025 was a turbulent year for trucking and the freight market may be a very big understatement already. But so how have tariffs or component costs influenced upfitting and procurement decisions, even for some of those larger fleets?
Yeah, it was turbulent, to say the least. I think the year started with a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty usually doesn't make for great decision making. And so I think folks, started the year with a thought that prices are going to skyrocket, supply is going to draw down, and we need to move quick. We need to make decisions. We need to buy what's available at the best price now, so that I don't have to worry about it later. I think that's steadied a little bit, where it's like anything in life. There's very few things that are like this big bang change, that just disrupts the world, unless it's like COVID, right? That one aside. Things like this, they take time, to actually play out and to really influence what's happening in the marketplace. And I think people reacted and then took a step back, and now we're starting to figure out that, well, the supply chain just doesn't stop. Prices don't just skyrocket all of a sudden, but they have to really be conscious of the fact that they inevitably will over time start to go up. And I think right now, people, having learned what to do during that time that they were thinking that there was going to be a big bang, I think they really learned how to be a bit more agile and to make decisions based on availability and based on cost, and not being so focused on brand loyalty, and really going after their options. I think that'll be a big trend as we move through 2026, is that people will be looking for multiple avenues to be able to get the type of part or upfit they want to do the job. And they will, much like they'll need to do with the types of assets in general beyond upfitting and parts, you're going to have to diversify. You're going to have options available to you that you can quickly pivot on as you inevitably start to see in 2026 supply dwindle down. I think it's, a lot of the manufacturers have done a good job of keeping the costs absorbed and not passing them on so harsh to the consumers. That will not happen. And there's a lot of signals. If you start looking at earnings reports that came out from Q3, you'll see a similar trend, I believe, and when you see Q4 earnings, that you'll start to see ways in which supply starts to get dwindled down, which then will drive the justification for price increases. And it won't be pointed at as a result of the tariffs. It will be more so pointed at as supply. Is inevitably, you can't keep taking on losses if you're a manufacturer by absorbing 25% plus tariff costs on material that you're relying on continuously, because we can't produce it in the US at the moment.
Is the message then just building your fleet for resiliency, or are there other fleet strategy trends and indicators you're seeing for 2026?
Yeah, I think the message is resiliency, and doing that through having a flexible model and a quick ability to run change management through your organization to accept those outcomes and to still be productive through it. That optionality will be key, for clients. And again, if that trend continues, and I do think that's a reason why you're seeing the drive towards utilization, is that if you have less assets and you're getting higher utilization and you have the ability to be flexible and create more options, that's how you really do become resilient.
Jeff, you mentioned the need for clean data as AI and connected vehicles kind of make their influence on the industry. So how do you expect those to further impact decision-making this year?
There's going to be a drive for the gut instinct to continue to fade away, and to always have a data-backed answer, for the rationale to make a vehicle purchase, to do a repair. There's a lot of different inputs that go into a decision to buy or sell a vehicle, and there's decisions along the path of owning a vehicle that you've come across that it's really hard for a fleet manager to make over the course of thousands of vehicles and transactions. Right. So if you've bought a vehicle, it's 3 years old, and it requires a repair that costs X, and your ability to generate a profit off of that vehicle over the rest of its life is Y, you have a decision to make right there. Does the cost of that repair justify the return that cost of the repair can get you over the rest of its life? What's its residual value at that moment? Are you better off just short cycling that vehicle? There's not a lot of capability to answer those questions, for large fleets or small fleets for that matter, because they don't have the ability for a human being to quantify that every single time. As you start to clean up your data, and if you understood those inputs, that's where I believe you can start to focus on building agentic AI to look at that data and to make decisions for you, or to make recommendations for you. And that agentic AI has the ability to then automate, those decision-making processes, and can really do an effective job of taking a one person or a small fleet management team and making it seemingly endless, right? Because you could build out those agents to be able to really look at that data, make recommendations back to you, or make decisions systemically for you to not do that repair and to go ahead and push that vehicle into sale. And I think that's where you'll see some of the more sophisticated fleets start to build.
2025, we did see a change in regulation come out, but there was already fleets that put in the time and the money to adopt electrified vehicles or putting the infrastructure for them. Maybe they're adopting a lot of data-driven assets as technology continues to advance. So what new pain points are emerging? And I think you might have already touched on it with saying just deciding the need to short cycle some of these.
Yeah. Well, I think electrification is still very viable for the right use cases. And to your point, like a lot of folks invested money in energy and charging infrastructure and relationships, whether it's from servicing networks or from OEMs, to electrify. In some cases, it's going really well. In some cases, it's very challenging because the ecosystem wasn't ready for the type of volume that was coming in. I think the challenges on energy will persist. it takes an immense amount of power to put in charging infrastructure, and our regulations around getting permitting approvals and working across utilities to do that, when you're trying to run a fleet that's in a depot and it's not dispersed, across multiple locations, it is very challenging to put that much power in and to put that many charging endpoints in to manage a fleet. I think that will persist in 2026. I don't think we're near that. And one, it's interesting because AI is powerful. It also takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of compute, to build AI, and compute takes a lot of power, takes a lot of energy. And so you're going to see this. I think you're going to see this collision where if you're trying to build, any sort of charging infrastructure that's anywhere near the mega complexes that are being built out for racks of servers to be able to handle AI, you're going to have a problem. I think I was reading, and I forget the firm that was building it out, but it's a massive complex in Indiana, to house the capability to build AI, and just the facility in itself took more power than the entire city of Atlanta. Right. So good luck trying to go put in some charging infrastructure around that area, because it just all got sucked up. And that's happening everywhere. And I think that's going to be a continuous problem, is really finding enough power and energy across our grid to be able to do what needs to be done to actually electrify.
Well, there is way more than we can cover in 15 to 20 minutes about everything trucking has faced and is going to continue to face. But is there any message you'd like to leave our viewers with about what we're heading into in 2026?
Yes, I would say, continue to refine and build your foundation from a data perspective, or rely on partners to be able to do that for you across your fleet. We do a great job of that for our clients, at Merchants Fleet. And that is that foundational layer of data that's able to pull in multiple attributes about your asset, can help you make decisions that keep you resilient as you go through 2026. And I think that resiliency play is going to be really important in a time of uncertainty. And I don't think that uncertainty that everybody senses right now in the economy is going to go away, anytime soon. And that's why you have to have that ability and strategy to get to a point where you feel resilient through better utilization, better data-driven decision making, and more flexibility with how you go attack your business with the assets that you have. That flexibility, and it will give you a great edge to be resilient.
All right, Jeff Nieman, thank you so much for taking the time today to stop by.
Kevin, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all of our Fleet Equipment subscribers for watching. We'll see you next time.